Recorded live from a not-so-secret suite-level studio.
I'm the capo. He's the prez.
And today we have the pundit. This is Sons of Ben,
The Pod.
Welcome back to Sons of Ben, the Pod, and I'm only doing this as a favor to my hockey-loving friends in this room. This is episode, you got this, Devin? One Jacob Voracek,
Yes.
number
Jakob.
93.
The one we've been
Jakob
waiting for.
Voracek.
Oh,
yeah.
man. I honestly, I miss him so much.
The guys were so upset that I get named episode 92 after a legend in Philadelphia, Reggie White.
I was not upset that you
were
named it
upset.
after Reggie White. I was upset that you went back on your promise to name it after Rick Tocchet.
I don't remember making that promise at all. Rick Tockett's a horrible
Devin,
gambler.
you need to clip it from 2 episodes ago.
And I
need
can
you to
always
clip
rely
it.
Do
on
I actually have to do the work now?
Honestly, I
Yeah.
want you to clip it now. He's done it twice. We need evidence on this.
I can rely on Devin being too lazy to do this.
That's
So
the only way this happens.
I can make promises and break them, and no one will know.
A stronger pod would have accountability for you.
They probably would. Speaking of accountability,
Yes.
good transition. We got to thank the beers of the pod.
Yes, we do.
Boy. It is, of course, Yards, 2SP, Flying Fish, Heineken, and Spellbound Brewing. That's a lot of beers that we have that sponsor the pod. Well, they give us free beer.
Can we get like a wine or a brandy of some sort? I feel like, I don't know. We need to like expand into the spirits
You're
category.
really going to want to sleep in the stadium if that happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
We're
here's the
gonna
thing.
keep you just on low alcohol beers, and that's it.
If you don't realize, this is why Grace does not give me keys to the esports arena. I don't know why.
Because they don't want you Baker Mayfielding here and living here.
Baker, I mean, can you imagine the commercials though?
Oh yeah,
That's great
That'd be
advertising. Me just being the groundskeeper of Subaru Park.
that now. Speaking of someone that's the groundskeeper, a legend of TV, a legend of the pitch. We've got, this is our recruiting thing. 'Cause
Yes.
he's not a guest.
No.
Well, he's a guest, but we are trying actively, and he doesn't know this, to recruit him to be a guest co-host, like come on multiple times, not
Yes.
just once every 8
Of
years.
occurrence.
He's looking like, where's my agent at? That's why your agent's locked out of here. So,
Yes.
ladies and gentlemen, Danny Higginbotham is here with us, and thanks for making the trip all the way to Chester.
It's a pleasure. Pleasure as always. I've been on before, and
yeah.
hopefully you'll be kind to me
Got
as
your son
usual.
here as well to join in
Yeah,
on
my
the fun
my
a little
son's
bit.
come along as well because not so much interested in me, more interested in how everything works.
Yeah, well, he's also acting as your agent, so you
Yeah.
get 10% of what we pay your dad to be a co-host on the pod. 10%, yeah.
So
not
now's
a
the
lot.
time to write up. Let me get my laptop out. Write the contract up now. We'll get this done.
He been knew his cut. Don't pretend like that was a new thing.
Let's get through some real quick housekeeping. Sons of Ben News, renew. Actually, the membership's been growing. I might have to put like a ticker up on what we're at, but the new kits are out. They are in the mail, so renew now because, you get all the perks like the membership kit. You get Devin's tailgates cheaper, all kinds of stuff. And here's my pitch that Devin hates, but that's because Devin hates Philadelphia. Keep good thoughts and prayers. www.philadelphia2026.com. We're trying to get the World Cup here in Philadelphia. So log on now. We're supposed to hear from FIFA. We keep saying April. I don't know if you've heard anything,
No.
but they keep telling us that it was first quarter one, which ends fiscal quarter one ends in 3-4 days.
Yeah, that's how they usually works.
So then they say, we're going to move it back to the month of April.
yeah.
But that's when the host cities are supposed to be announced.
What are you thinking? You confident?
Yeah, well, I'm confident because I was part of the bid, saw the bid, feel really good. Even the money that Comcast has, you feel really good, but it's FIFA. There could be a bag of cash somewhere that we don't know about.
Look, there's going to be one random team that somehow converts their turf field into grass, and you're going to know why they did that. That's all I'm going to say.
New England?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
When
Bob Kraft.
Boston goes to grass in the middle of New England, you'll be like, what happened here? And you'll be like, wait 2 years.
Yeah.
They're coming.
Yeah. All right, the last bit of Sons of Ben pod news. Congratulations, Adam Booth. Not just for your birthday.
I did do that.
Yeah, but afterwards,
Yes.
What did you do with your birthday money? Did you crack the grandma's $20 card out and you
Look,
saved them
my
all?
grandma has been giving me war bonds for a very long time, and I felt that this was the time to cash them in. Yeah, I got myself engaged.
Did
Yeah.
you go one knee?
I did.
Okay, good.
Which meant I was eye level with my
Yeah.
girlfriend, so that was good.
With your what?
Oh, fiance.
Fiance.
My
yeah.
fiance.
Yeah, it's not a girlfriend anymore. It's a
No.
fiance. It's more expensive girlfriend.
It's an upgrade. It's like the Pokemon evolutions of a relationship, you know.
I really enjoy this phase. It sounds good when you have to tell somebody like, "Oh, my fiance."
No, yeah,
very
no,
nice.
it's
very
here's
nice.
because we're Americans and it's a different language, therefore it
Well,
sounds fancier.
Yes.
And Josh, Devin has a fiance too.
Yeah.
I just have a girlfriend.
Yeah.
Stick with the girlfriends. Trust me. Stick with the girlfriend.
This is your life advice.
I thought you were married.
I sometimes
So
I
did
feel it.
TC.
Yes. All right, so save the data. Oh, Devin, I almost skipped your part.
Oh, that's fine.
How's
That's
that
fine.
Discord
you
going?
can skip it. I don't really have.
No,
anything.
we actually
I don't have anything.
Discord's popping.
Is it?
Discord has been popping because
Adam's been in there more than I
No,
have.
I've
so.
actually returned to the Discord, and the Discord is interesting.
Now I have to ask
getting
this,
in it.
Danny, have you been on the Discord? There's a Sons of Ben Discord.
No.
Don't.
Do not absolutely on that. No, it's like basically our Reddit page, but slightly cleaner. Slightly.
It is Reddit meets Facebook meets
Craigslist.
Wow. Yeah, Craigslist. That's good.
yeah.
That's good. I like
Yeah,
that.
it's-
I'll go with Craigslist.
You can get some patio furniture and you
Right.
can complain about the TV broadcast.
It's
There it
not
is.
Angie's List. That's for sure. It's definitely Craigslist. Now.
So the Discord's been good. So Devin insisted that we do this Discord page.
Okay.
And me being present, I go, no, I have no interest in this. I don't need one more format where people can complain about what we do.
This is why this is a democracy, not a dictatorship. Because we
Man, I
let you in
swear,
charge.
if I could be Cuba, I would be Cuba.
we
It
would
be-
never grow. We would still be in the tail lots doing nothing. We
We
need
would
to
still
grow.
be on MySpace if it was up to
Right?
me.
We've
We
got some
wouldn't have
active
East-
users in there. We got almost 300 members in the Discord now. So I mean, it's coming along.
Look at
It's coming
this.
along.
Started from the bottom, and now we're proverbially here.
There you go. Now, speaking of growth,
Yes.
trips. The trips have been growing.
Trips growing. New York was good.
New York was good.
That was probably one of the stronger New York trips we had in a while.
May 1st, we have Nashville. And that already sold out the actual trip to Nashville. Now it's just tickets only. So we've got people on a travel package, airplane, hotel, tailgate. Now it's tailgate, bus too, and ticket, and that's it. Like
I'm amazed by, like, obviously I think it's going to be a strong contingency of Union fans, but like there's a lot of country music fans in the region that I didn't realize existed. And I think that's like a good reason why we're getting a good amount of,
well,
like,
we're looking at
the-
Danny
yeah.
because he lives in that part of the Delaware Valley.
No,
it's a big
heck,
contingent of.
King of Prussia loved XTU, my guy. Let
Yeah.
me tell you, it wasn't.
You
we
saw
worked
the
hard.
truck he pulled up in.
He did.
Yeah,
he
he had.
Danny's an American now. I don't know if anyone
was it.
noticed. He came in a big truck.
That was the thing I said when I first moved over is getting a truck. Definitely, 100%.
Yeah.
You know, then you feel one of the locals, and you know you want to fit in.
Yeah.
So-
Well, I think that's the dream of every British boy
Oh, it is.
is to have a huge truck.
You got to understand. I grew up with
No?
the Fall Guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, the Fall Guy.
The
Yeah.
Fall Guy.
Yeah.
And you know his truck. You know, and so in England, like a lot of the American shows. Like me growing up, the kids programs,
Yeah.
the majority of them were American,
Yeah.
and it was an unbelievable time. So the Fall Guy, Knight Rider, Street Hawk, Airwolf, Dukes of Hazzard.
Yes.
But they were
Wow.
like they were just like my childhood, and
Yeah.
it was just unbelievable. Chips,
Chips.
incredible.
Yes, I know.
We've
He
had
might not know Chips. I do know Chips. Look,
Showing
I
our
had
age.
a lot of Nick at Night in my life. All right, I know the classics.
His former manager at Tottenham, I would just call him Punch. And he would get mad at me, and he didn't understand
Punch.
why I would call him Punch instead of.
Oh, man.
So that's why we always try to explain what Chips is. But
See, I always joke if I ever move to Europe, I'm gonna have to get a really tiny car. So I already have my Fiat 5 picked out. You know, I already know what color I
you're not
want.
getting a Mini.
No, I
Cooper?
thought about the Mini, but I feel if I'm going to be Italian, I got to go the whole nine with it. You know, I got to just give in, you know. The Mini, if I was moving up north, I'd definitely give me a Mini, though. Like, trust me.
I would just get a Jeep Wrangler and just really tick everyone off.
I mean, look, apparently when you're the sponsor of Juventus, it seems more now practical in Torino, but I don't know.
Yeah, and Danny wanted to comment on that jersey of yours because terrible choice.
Look,
The timing. It's the timing
yeah,
of it.
the timing of it is actually really terrible. Only, but it's just like
It's a good looking shirt.
And here's the thing. So, like, I was going through the closet because I was like, I try to wear a different jersey that I have for every pod that we do. And I was like, I already wore all my Palermo stuff. I wanted to wear something black, but I was like, if I wear the Chelsea jersey, that's just, no, can't. I might as well just leave right now. So I was like, okay, what do I got? Black. Real Madrid? Nah. Palermo. PSG. I'll just throw this on. It's all black. No one will barely even notice. I'll keep my hoodie on most of the pod anyway. And then it got warm in here. And I was just like,
All right, but no. So the last thing we have to say is it's Devin's time to shine.
Yes.
This Saturday, April 2nd,
Oh yeah.
tailgate. Wow, we've already seen some numbers coming in. So before COVID, we were 100, 150 people at tailgates. Respectable number. Then COVID kind of eased up, and then we make the playoffs, and we're 300, 400. The last couple have been close to 500 people, and it's been freezing out. So
Yeah.
we're 58 degrees. We're expecting a big crowd. And our sponsors are coming up big: Dietz and Watson, Yards, 2SP, Flying Fish, and Paul Howard's favorite tea, the twisted kind. Being a proper British gentleman, that's the only tea he ever drinks. So
Oh, man.
if you see him drinking a spot of tea, it's got twisted in it. Don't worry.
I feel like wasn't he having them in Fort Myers? He had the
Whatever
little
was
tea.
in front of him, he had.
He was having sweet teas, and I was like, all right, I see you, young man.
It must be amazing though to see that growth over the years.
Yeah.
Yeah,
been
it's
fantastic.
been crazy because we had super high numbers in the very beginning.
Yeah.
And then the team was not good.
Yeah.
And then you just see that. And then you see members evolve where they were maybe in their mid-20s. Then they got married. Then they had a kid. So then they didn't have time. Some of those people are coming back. And now we're seeing a new group of 20-something coming to check it out. And it's amazing, like, new faces we see. For years, it was like, hey, how you doing? Oh, it's good to see you. It's a family. This is great. Now we're like, who is this person? Who is this?
Yeah.
And it's just, there is such a buzz of people that want to be here and the experience. So it's great to see.
Hell, I've only been around for 4 years, maybe or
Yeah.
so, and
Well,
I
you're
even
15 years old,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
I mean,
I could only have been here so long.
Like,
But,
honestly, you had grade school previously, so yeah.
I wasn't able to drink at my
No.
first game. No,
You're able to drive.
no, I've definitely seen it, even over those 4 years, seen it grow exponentially, out the tailgates and with tons of band events and whatnot. So it's been fantastic.
And to even speak what you're talking about with like the age and the changing of kind of guards that are happening with it. It's like as a capo, it's even more fun now because it's just like you have so many different demos and new people who are like excited to see what we're doing. So like when you do chants, people are like, it sounds louder. Like this is like sound like we've had sellout crowds before. We've had good, sellouts of all of the river end, but it sounds louder. It sounds more in unison. Like my job feels a little bit easier now these days, and it's really nice because it's the growth of the type of person who wants to be here.
I think one of the things is as well, because like sometimes like I forget myself coming over from England. This is a new club still, as in terms of football. So if you look in England, obviously I'm a Manchester United supporter. My father is a Manchester United supporter. His father was a Manchester United. So it gets passed through the generation, but you've not even had a generation here yet.
No.
For it to be able to pass through. So it's only going to grow. And obviously the success on the pitch from the team also helps that along the way as well. But it must be wonderful to have seen it from the beginning to see where it's at now.
It is, and it's you talk about how it's a young football team. It's a young sport or professional sport in Philadelphia, where you've got the Eagles and the Phillies that are centuries.
Yeah.
The Phillies have been around forever. The Eagles feel like have been around forever, and the Flyers might be the newest team, and they were in the late 60s. So they can get a pension now. That's how old the Flyers are.
This is a really established sports scene, but the thing about the sports scene in Philadelphia is we always craved action. I think in a lot of ways, which is why we supported so many like what you would almost consider minor league teams in the city. We literally had the Flyers hockey affiliate across the street in the Phantoms when they were playing in the Spectrum for like 15 years and maintained really good attendance at that minor league affiliate. We had the Kicks, we had the Wings, we had the Soul, we had all of these teams like that were just, on different levels and still had great attendance because Philadelphia was just that passionate about sport, period. So it makes sense that eventually this union thing would hit, but it had to break through this barrier of so many established pillars of the sports community, and it was difficult.
Yeah. Well, there's stigmas like that we have. And you know this because I found out recently that last year Philadelphia was the number one market for NBC Sports for the Premier League.
Yeah.
It was the number one TV market. And you're going, wait, we're the number one market beating New York, beating a Boston, beating I'm not going to say LA because those poor Savs have to get up at 3 a.m.
And that's
to watch
unfair.
a game.
That's an unfair game
that's
for
unfair.
them. I can't
But
blame them.
how
on
many
that one.
soccer fans does that prove that are here and then they're not coming down because of the Euro snobbery? But now as the team's playing better and now that we've got young guys going to play on that stage, the Eurosnob doesn't have a lot of arguments left.
No.
Where they're like, oh, they're not. Oh, really? Well, our kid's going to be playing at Leeds next year. What do you got to say about that? Oh, so why don't you come down here to watch it live? Because football, I'd rather watch on TV. American Gridiron.
Okay.
Baseball, I'd rather see live. NBA live. Hockey. A little bit of
Playoff or any large game live, there's nothing like it.
But
No,
soccer,
yeah.
it's better in person.
Yeah.
Oh,
It is so much better in person. So why wouldn't you take the trek down? But you'll get up at 6 a.m. and go to a Fado or a Mick whatever the heck and watch at a bar.
Well, it's because we have to hear the British commentary. If we don't do that, we don't really take the game serious.
True.
If it's
Yeah.
not a smooth Arlo
that's-
White
that's-
giving it to
yeah.
us, we're not really taking it. Really,
It is interesting when you say that, because the accent, I don't agree with it. You
Yeah.
know, and I'm saying it coming from England.
Yeah.
Is that straight away, because football is considered, England's sport.
Yeah.
It's like you hear the accent, it's like, okay, well, that person is going to be better than maybe an American person who's doing the same
course.
thing. But that's not necessarily the
Not
case.
close.
But that's just the way it is. But I would probably say that, like, the best way for me to look at that is that if I'm watching NFL,
Yeah.
if I hear an English voice,
Yeah.
or I hear an American's voice, I'm probably going to side to the American. And that's not because the English isn't good. It's because it's an American sport.
Right. Even NBA basketball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and I felt that, it's interesting too, especially when like they started, a lot of American teams were going to have an American play-by-play, but we're going to have an English color commentator to kind of give that authenticity, if you will, to it. But it's like one of my favorite commentators doing it right now, outside of obviously JP, it's like Chris Whittingham down in Inter Miami. He's like 29 years old. He's doing it, but he's so polished. He takes his craft really seriously, and you see that. And as an American, I think with those type of commentators coming up and with the teams sprouting up in more locations, like I heard them having a post-game live of a Charlotte FC where everyone just had the thickest Carolina accents. And I'm like, that's how soccer should always be discussed. Like, I need to hear Bojangles South style discussions of soccer. I need that twang now,
Do you get subtitles with that?
You should.
Yeah.
Just for the Louise. If we ever get a team in New Orleans, 1,000%
wow.
subtitles.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Now you've been here now a year, right?
Yeah.
And of course we know your wife's from Northeast
Yeah.
Philly. We forget what parish, but anyhow. What sports in Philly have you gotten to go live since just
Do you know
either
what?
visiting or
I haven't
Oh.
yet. I must admit, so when I first moved over, it's football is a soccer, whatever you want to call it. That's a really simple sport.
Yeah.
So following that, obviously, since I was a kid, and then coming over here and then trying to understand NFL, trying to understand, the ice hockey and things like that, I found that a little bit more difficult. But I've got to say that my second sport 100% now is NFL.
Yeah.
Based on the playoffs.
Yeah.
The playoffs were just incredible. Anything that could happen did happen.
Yeah.
And I learned so much about watching. And okay, the Eagles, they made the playoffs, but it didn't last long. But then just watching the other games and then getting to know about the quarterbacks, but listening to the commentators, listening to the studio people, and I learned so much from listening to them. And then what I would do when I was going into work, because I'm not afraid to ask, because I know that I'm a novice with NFL, I'd speak to some of the lads and say, what. How did this happen? Why did this happen? And things like that. Then all of a sudden I got a greater understanding for it, and I love the sport now.
Yeah.
I've fallen in love with it.
And it's funny you say that because I always deep down hope that the Philadelphia guys would do the same thing because I think there's a resistance to come to a Union game because their kids know more about the sport of soccer and they're afraid to ask. And I admit to everyone, I go, I don't understand the offsides rule. I don't think anybody understands the offsides rule
I
because
got
it
it
constantly
now.
changes.
Look, I got
I don't
it
think you
now.
got it. I don't think VAR gets it, but
It's really fickle.
I feel like a lot of guys like our age, my age, in the 40s, 50s that have kids don't want to come down because they're embarrassed that their son or daughter knows more.
Yeah.
But I think we saw it with hockey.
Yeah.
Like people didn't want to, they wouldn't embrace hockey right away because they didn't understand this game and they didn't want to seem stupid by asking the question.
Well,
Where I'm hoping people start asking the question because there's an interest now.
My dad did that when we started with hockey because like I got into hockey because and like obviously everyone's like, oh, you're black, obviously you didn't get into hockey. No, but it's like authentically it was like I didn't get into hockey until my mom had box seats for Flyers Penguins playoff game. And similar to you, when you watched the NFL playoffs, the minute I watched playoff hockey in person, you're like, okay, yeah, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen in my life. Because it was like the goal meant so much more. It was on the level of scoring a goal in soccer, was scoring a goal in hockey. To me, it felt so big. But, I feel that we are evolving as a country with a lot of these things. And I think the younger generation, as we now become parents ourselves, that's going to be a much smoother transition. The next 10, 15 years of this sport's going to be a really big transition because it's growing. It's growing. And what I love now is MLS is finally taking itself a little bit more seriously and forcing these clubs to represent themselves like professional clubs. Like, it was when you're having half of your clubs playing the football stadiums of the same city, like outside of like Seattle and Atlanta, where that really worked out for them. It's kind of like, okay, like, are you really trying to take this seriously?
You're looking right at New England and maybe New York City.
Well, like, here's the whole. Obviously, New York. I mean, New England, the thing about it is it's hard for me to tell Robert Kraft to build a stadium in that situation.
Why? He ain't broke. He ain't broke. He's got the money.
But he's also, capitalism is also saving money as much as it's spending money. And it's like, he's not going to necessarily build another cathedral to sport if he doesn't have to.
Maybe I've got a promotion.
Yes.
You can be the new dude with a sign. We'll have you, Robert Kraft, get a new stadium, and we'll put you at a random strip mall, maybe in South Florida.
Just be like, get a note. But like, you look at it now. St. Louis had to come in. Correct. I just came back down from Austin. Absolutely stunning situation in Austin. Nashville coming together. That thing in Charlotte's a little disconcerting to me because it looks bad. Right now, it looks pretty bad. And I don't know if that digital tarp or whatever they're going to try to do is going to fix that. But that in that stadium looks bad. But I'm happy 30,000 people in Charlotte decided to go to a soccer match on a regular basis. Like, both of these things can be true. Yeah. But it's like, the more MLS takes itself seriously, the more people will take the league seriously. And that's why I think the Euro snobbery is going to become, it's all going to mesh,
I think one of the things is, which was difficult for me when I first moved over, not knowing too much about American sports, was that when I came over was the fact of, and you could ask most English people about this and probably European people as well, they will say that they find it difficult to get their head around no promotion, no relegation.
Right.
That was the biggest thing for me. So when I first came in, and obviously football is football out on the pitch, but off the pitch there's so many differentials.
Yeah.
But then, so I was like, okay, let's see how it goes. And now I've got to the point where it's like, you can't wait for the playoffs.
Yeah.
In MLS, in NHL, in basketball, in NFL, it's like, it's such an exciting time. But if you would have said that to me 2 years ago, I'd be like, no, I don't get it.
And I think if you polled every soccer owner in the world and said, hey, you can go to a playoff system or keep relegation, there's no way. Yeah, I'll take that risk. Playoffs.
Guaranteed money every year. Playoffs.
You know, Liga MX would love to have an MLS system.
What do you
because
think?
What do they do when they get knocked down? They buy the team.
And I was going to say, what do you think Norwich is thinking right now? Lock it up. Stop the count. We don't need to do this. Don't send us back down again. I don't want to go back down again.
What do you think Devon's Brentford's thinking?
Oh, God. There's stop the count. Stop the count.
Yeah.
But going back to what you were saying about the NFL, I thought this was very interesting because I think because the NFL is a weekly thing, we are allowed to put a lot of pageantry behind it. Like, we have so many shows about it. We have so many commentators. Like, we spend 5 days dissecting one game. So it gives you an opportunity to really just, like, dig deep and really get into each matchup. And it's kind of similar to soccer in that way, where I feel like you get every, like, week, you're like, all right, this fixture is coming up. We can talk about it. We can talk about the history. We can talk about what's happening. We can talk about the transfer and all of that before another game happens. Where baseball, every night's a game. Yeah. Basketball, every other night's a game.
Yeah. So you don't have the time to.
You can't digest.
And you shouldn't, because stuff like the NBA. If you look at 82 games the way you look at an NFL game, you're going to drive yourself crazy.
Absolutely,
because you can't have that kind of importance on that.
Yeah.
You can't expect these players to play at their peak every game. That physically you can't do it. So, but no, with soccer, except for all these tournaments that we end up having, and everything. That kind of gets me
Hey,
sideways.
we're getting more European that way. Now we have a
know.
Carabao Cup, now we have, the Europa and all this fun stuff.
Did they tell you about that when you got the job, that you're going to be calling all these things too, like U.S. Open and
The Campanones, all of that.
The different things, but it's a new experience for me.
yeah.
So like I look at, if you go back to last season, the difficulties for Philadelphia Union whilst they were still in the Champions League to juggle both things. Now you go over to England and you'll have clubs saying, well, yeah, we've got to play in the Champions League and we've got to travel there and we've got to travel there. You're traveling like that in MLS.
Yeah.
So that's something straight away that you've got to deal with. And also it's the balancing act when you're in the Champions League compared to MLS, because there's an argument to say, well, you're not going to be in the Champions League every year. So put that at the foremost. And then you have MLS sort of as a secondary because you're in that every year. And one of the things I would say is from the run last season in the Champions League was that obviously they did really well, unbelievably well. And then, to get to the point where they got, and then they were beaten by Club America. But even though I think that loss gave them the belief that, hang on a second, we're a decent team. And then look at the form then in the league from the moment they got knocked out.
Yeah, I made the trip to Mexico City, and when you watch that game, you're going, oh, if this was at home, they win that game.
Yeah.
Just you don't want to say I'll say refs. If we were at home, the refs don't call the way they called, and someone's tooth doesn't get knocked out. It's just like boom. Okay, so and you're right. I think the guys were like, yo, we were on. Oh, wait a second.
We belong here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We didn't survive. We can thrive.
Yeah.
And it was just and then they took that into this MLS season, and then it's funny because we'll talk about New York City and the COVID and everything, and I'm going, man, it's COVID. Things happen. You play the cards that you're dealt. But when I watched New York play against Portland, and I go, we would have manhandled Portland. There was no doubt in my mind, and that's when I got upset because I didn't know if we could beat Portland. And watching that championship game, I'm going, oh, we would have been dancing in the streets in Portland.
For me, it was a crazy week. So you go, I think it was potentially the Tuesday when NYCFC went to New England.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking to myself, if Union can get home, you fancy them against most teams.
Oh, yeah.
So then it goes all the way through, ends up going to penalties. Castellanos gets sent off. You wake up Wednesday morning, you're like, this is potentially written in the stars. And then all of a sudden, everything that just unfolded Thursday, Friday, it was just like, and then to the point, like, if anything, I think anybody that was at the game against NYCFC and anybody that's watching it on TV, yes, there were so many players out, but I think the performance of the players, I think the management side of things, I think the fans, that probably in a 90-minute game probably encapsulated Philadelphia Union as a group, as an area, as a fan base, as a management. It showed everything that you're playing against one of the strongest teams that go on to an MLS Cup with, not being disrespectful, but probably 7 or 8 of your starters not playing that would normally play, and you go and take the lead. And if it wasn't from a couple of bad defensive scenarios, you could have actually gone through.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
So-
there was. I mean, we were missing. I go missing Alejandro Bedoya to me because after that first goal that we scored, he would have been like, "Hey guys, get back. Let's go."
You don't get the
Let's
credit
not-"
he deserves, and
Yeah.
I try and mention it all the time.
He would have had everybody. Hey, we need to defend for the next 90 seconds.
The Jose
To
Mourinho.
keep, and then I mean, Colin, he didn't play all year, and he didn't have a bad
Finley.
game, and Finley. But you're thinking you're taking away the 2 center backs that are an unbelievable duo, and you're like, who else could survive a hit like that? So
when we went to New York 2 weeks ago, I was talking to a couple of the commentators. I'm not the commentators, the ushers there, and they were like, who they follow the teams and all that, and they were like, authentically, like, if you just had Andre Blake, y'all would have beat us. Like they were like, they knew, because here's the thing, you watch that game, and the Casper goal is lucky if you were like, we're not going to sit here and like, oh, that's technical skill by Casper. Like he got on it, and it was there, and it was very fortunate. But at the same time, the New York goals were very like, all right, you took advantage of this very unfortunate situation and all that, and I appreciate that. But it's like they had to wait to the 82nd to
Yeah.
do that. You know, they
Yeah.
had to do. They had like. I was, as a capo, getting myself ready for, all right, if we can hold them for 30 minutes, you know, maybe Matt Freeze can pull something out of his butt and we can, you know, move on here.
Where's
Like,
Matt
you
Freeze
know,
from?
Way in Pennsylvania.
There you go.
And
Everyone
it's,
drink.
It's legitimately one of the more gutsy performances, obviously, in Union history. Just the fact that that even lasted that long. And then I was so nervous going into the Bronx because I was just like, we have to win this game.
Yeah.
Because you're like, we have to put the stamp on that. Because, like, all the fans were like, oh, New York deserves an asterisk, you know, it's blah, blah. Like, if you go into New York and lose that game, then I'm
you
on
can't.
social media.
Right.
Like, I can't even return.
Yeah.
It's just, so it's to have the team put in a shift like that in New York after that and respond. Because, like, they feel that. Like, they want that game. Like, the players are like, They understand New York's coming off their own Champions League scenario. They got him a little wounded, but at the same time, like, Alejandro wants that. You know, he wants
And
that.
by the way, I don't buy into that Champions League thing because they got to play their game on that mini pitch. So they were going to be rested.
That's true.
They only got to
Yeah.
play on that Lego field. So they didn't have to put maximum effort out.
Since I've been at the club, that's the most complete performance that I've seen
Yeah.
from start
Oh,
to finish.
yeah.
From start to finish, I thought they were magnificent. Defensively, collectively, they were so good. Efficient, putting the ball in the back of the net. Could have had a third goal. Obviously, it was offside.
Yeah.
And that, for me, when you look at everything from the first minute to the last minute, that was the most complete performance I've seen against a very good team. Those front
very
four,
good team.
the front four for NYCFC, they're a problem for any team.
Even then, when they pulled off, what was it, Herbert off the bench and all that,
Yeah.
they went all out with that.
They're a
And
great team.
It was 100%. Like, I was there at the game with all the fans, and one of the rare times as a cap, I would get to actually watch the game.
Right.
and, like,
Because you're not full-time capoing
I'm
here.
not full-time capoing,
Yeah.
so I'm watching the game, and I'm like, there was very little times that I offensively thought the Union were in danger. Like, when I was like, there was like one or two movements where I was like, all right, they might get a hold of this. Like, once they took that second goal, for the most part, once they got to like the 70th minute, I'm like, yeah, we're probably going to win this game. Like,
Yeah.
they are holding it down.
Well, once VAR came in, you went, woo. Like,
yeah.
But it was, I mean, here's the thing. We saw, that was on the other end of the stadium.
Yeah.
And we were just like, yeah, he did
I'm
not.
at
Like, he dove into the Hudson.
I'm in
on
a
that.
I'm in a convention center watching it on my laptop, trying to pretend to work, and I'm going, oh, good. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. It was.
We were watching it, so the first replay we saw, we were like, you're thinking he's got to be offside, but then fortunately towards the end of the first replay, we saw the hand.
Yeah.
And then we were like, you're putting your reputation on the
Yeah,
line, and I'm
yeah.
just like, this has to be disallowed. There's no way that this will be disallowed. It will be taken away.
Yeah.
Sure enough, the referee goes over to VAR, and the right decision became of it, and that's how it is.
If I remember correctly, we were like one of the first ones to notice it, I think.
Yeah, I got a good angle of it, but then it's like, okay, that's where for me, like, VAR does get criticism.
Yeah.
That's where VAR is at its best. Because if you don't have VAR in that scenario, that penalty is probably given, and
Yeah.
Jack Elliott's probably sent off, and
Yeah.
that's the
Oh
difference.
yeah, yeah,
Tie game,
yeah. And
the whole
what
thing changes in a
Yeah.
heartbeat.
Oh, 100%.
what would have hurt more, them converting the penalty kick or losing Jack Elliott? I say losing Jack.
Losing Jack.
Yeah,
'Cause-
without a
'cause
doubt.
It's like, it's the doomsday scenario is all, if you want to lose anyone and you want to lose your striker.
Yeah.
Because you can at least keep your shape.
Yes.
But if you lose one of your center backs,
Right.
including one of your center backs who has had logged more minutes than any center back in MLS in the past 4 seasons, yeah, you're
Yeah.
in trouble. Even
Yeah.
as much as I trust Stuart Finley, as much as but I'm still like,
Yeah.
I kind of want Jack Elliott on my field if I
Yeah.
can help it.
Now, speaking of defenders, we know you played at the highest level as defense. What would you have done to Tati? Would you lock him up?
No, it's a difficult one, because when you play against a centre forward like that, first and foremost, I've got to say I think he's a quality player.
Oh, he is.
I think he's an outstanding player, and he plays on the edge. You take that edge away from him, then he's not that player. So, as bizarre as it sounds, if I'm playing against him, I'm going to make him my friend. I'm going to make him my friend.
Yeah.
You go against the reverse, because he wants to wind you up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I played against players like that to the point where, like, they're trying to wind you up, whether they're just giving you an elbow and things like that. They go, oh, it's okay, no problem.
Yeah.
And they get to the point, which is what happened against Union, where the reverse starts to happen. If they're getting frustrated because you're not getting frustrated,
Yeah.
then it's job done. And then for me, the biggest thing was obviously, we know the fracas that happened, and
yeah.
that's it's nothing. It's,
No one thinks a fight is breaking out.
Yeah,
it's like
exactly.
an NBA game. Nobody's fists aren't really flying.
But as the
Don't tell
game
Charles Oakley.
as the game went on, from Union's side of things, you're looking and you're seeing Castellanos dropping deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. And centre forwards, top class centre forwards, they get frustrated because they're not getting involved. So they drop deeper and they drop deeper. And as a defender, then you're like, I've done my job here.
Yeah.
But the thing is for me, and I've said it before and I'll say it again, Glesnes and Elliott, for me, are the best partnership in MLS. And the reason I say that is because they suit each other so well. If one goes to be the dominant centre-back, you can guarantee they're both not going to go at the same time and they're both not going to drop off at the same time. So what they did with Castellanos, Glesnes would go really tight with him at times. Then Elliott would go really tight with him at times. And there'd be a few fouls, which is not a problem because as long as it's not the same person making the fouls all the time, the referee isn't necessarily going to give you the yellow card. So if someone gives him a little bit of a kick at the back and the referee gives a foul, it's like, okay, next time it's going to be you.
Yeah, you do it next time.
And
you are
so
the sacrifice.
for me, obviously Jack, I know Jack more than I know Jacob is in terms of like speaking to him when I'm at training and things like that. But the pair of them, they have been absolutely sensational. And, they are, like I say, I'm not just saying it because I'm biased, but it's the best partnership in MLS for me. The way that they are defensive, but not just that, they take the ball out as well. And they don't get credit for that. And that's what's going to be so important this season when you're playing at home and when teams come and sit back. Can a centre-back drive out with the ball?
Yeah. And we were talking as we were walking up because Danny's like, good start of the, and I go, yeah, I don't want to jinx it, but really good start. How'd you feel? And I go, well, you knew the midfield was solid. You knew we had depth, but that back four, and the back four changed. We talked about it.
It's a padlock.
Nate just came in, and I can't think of a better back four in MLS.
No.
It's a back
yeah.
five. Like to
and-
have Andre as
Right.
to have Andre as the anchor to that
Yeah.
back
Right.
four. They've
Right.
only given up 2 goals in 4 matches.
Yeah.
Like that's
You don't-
real. That's authenticity.
Yeah. So you look at that, and then we go, well, look, the 2 strikers that we got that we thought haven't really gotten to play yet. Holy crap! It could go. Yeah, I'm knocking on wood. I don't want to jinx it. But yeah, we're excited about this team.
Even Sergio is even looked like he's
Well,
hungrier. Like, he's
Sergio and
looked like he's
Corey,
hungrier.
even in spring training, looked like, oh, they brought 2 guys in.
Yeah.
Oh, guess what I have to do now?
Yeah.
And they're doing it right now. I mean, in that cold day, Sergio was on the field on his back more times than but he kept through where before I think he might have been like, I got to leave now, guys. I got a little twitch. I can't do this.
The big thing for me is if you look at last season with Shabilko, with Burke, and with Santos, obviously the 3 main forwards, 2 of the 3 were the same type of player.
Yeah.
Two of the 3 were the same type of players. So you had Shabilko and you had Burke that were good finishers, but they were also the focal point, could hold the ball up and bring the others in. You had Santos that had the pace. I'm looking at centre forwards that they've got now, the 4 centre forwards. Every single one of them brings something different.
Yeah.
You've got Carranza who's happy to drop deep. You've got Santos that'll stretch the game. You've got Uwa who can, from what I see and from what I know from watching different times in training, he can stretch the game, but it can also come short. Yeah. And then you've also got Burke where he can when he holds the ball up, 2 or 3 players from the opposition, they're going towards him and he can deal with that. Yeah. And what that does, that frees up other players around him. So you've now got 4 centre forwards that can do different things.
Yeah.
So that means you can change things from the bench. If you're playing a specific team, you can play a certain centre forward because you know that that's what their defence doesn't like to deal with. And that for me is the biggest thing now, is that you've got variation within the front line.
Absolutely.
And the one thing I love about all 4, they will, unlike most forwards, will go back, play defense. We'll press.
Yeah.
We'll try to take the ball away, where a lot of guys they'll get to the 50 and go, okay, I'm going to stand here for a while.
But you won't be in this team.
Yeah. Oh, exactly.
You
so they
wouldn't be in this team. Yeah.
They fit this team.
Yeah.
And so, we're...
And Jim has as many bullets as he's ever had at this point. Like, in terms of, like, the fact that Jesus is now playing with Union 2 and he's scoring goals for Union 2. And we're just like, just in case any of this breaks down, we got 3 dudes just chilling in our B squad right now. Like, Matt Real is just like, I mean, I can play too if you guys want. I'm just kind of here. It's cool. Like, it's crazy to think a team where we originally went to an Open Cup final with Pedro Ribeiro as our backup striker against Seattle, and now we're going to this Union team. This Union team wins all the Open Cups that we lost. Is basically what I'm saying. Every
this
Open
Union
Cup we lost,
bench,
this Union team wins
the
all.
bench of this Union team
Wins all of the Open
probably.
Cups.
But Jim, in my mind, has created this. Not just in terms of the players that have been brought in, because obviously there's Ernst Tanner and other people that are involved in things like that, but the environment. He's created this environment where he's like, I remember the first time I ever spoke to him, I had to interview him before the start of last season.
Oh.
And he was nothing short of a gentleman. And he's become like a friend, like I'll chat with him before games and things like that. But his man management skills, that's why the players do what they want to do what they do, because they want to do it for him. That's when you see the players that will play for Philadelphia Union too. They have no problem with it. And he has created this environment where I want to play for him. Like I look at Jim, and when I'm speaking to Jim, we're the same age, but I look at it and I think, so if I was a player, I'd run for a brick wall for you.
Yeah.
And that for me is the key. More than ever now, man management is the biggest skill that you ever have now, because when I was playing, there was probably 2 or 3 different characters. The lads that you just left alone, lads that you could give a kick up the backside, and lads that needed an arm around the shoulder.
Right.
Now you've got so many different characters. And that's a generational thing, not just in football, in the world. You've got so many different characters that you have to deal with. So as a manager, if you're not able to understand a player and you're treating him a certain way, which isn't necessarily going to get the best out of him, you're in trouble. But like from Jim's perspective, like when I see him and when I go and watch the training, his man management skills are unbelievable. You know, and for me, that is such a big positive for the club, for the team. And you can see the togetherness of the players. It's one in all in. And you can see whenever there's a little bit of miver, whether it might be something or nothing. So you look at NYCFC last week, all the players are there straight away. That tells you straight away, this is a team spirit. And this is something that you've got it and you keep hold of it, because it is few and far between now in the modern day game.
Yeah, and we had Jim on and we were talking, and my question to him was, can you count, since you've been coach, how many sporting directors have you had? And what was he, 5, 6?
Yeah, it was like,
he was naming people that we forgot.
I was
that
like,
were even here
yeah.
as consultants or something. And for him to stand, withstand that, like, he's really been forged in fire. It's not just the staff that he had on, whether we didn't have money, whether we misspent money, whether we didn't have any depth, but he had so many different systems. He had Ernie Stewart. He wanted to be possession. That was it. And Jim's become so well versed in almost coaching every different style. And now this system that Ernst wanted to bring in with the pressing, and it's unbelievable. And Jim has always said he wanted his defense to play like, especially in the last 10 minutes, bastards. He just wanted the people to hate this team the last 10 minutes of games. He wanted people to be, ferocious and ugly, because that's how he played in the MLS. And he's finally getting that. It's funny. You can say things as a coach, and it might take a year or 2 or 3 seasons before you get the players that will buy into it and do that. And he's got that now, which is great. Now we're just panicked that other people are going to try to poach him from us, and we're going to have to put a lock on him and hold him down here.
Look, the joke I always make is the Union's soccer destiny is becoming Ajax. It's basically you're going to be a factory that produces talent for the soccer world. Because look,
but they win.
But they win.
That's the other thing.
That's also on
they
the
got to
flip
win.
side.
They still have to
here's
win.
The thing. We do, and it's like now we do, and we're still like, okay, so Paxton Aronson's going to be here a couple of years, then he's really going to showcase himself, then he's going to move on. Quinn, like we were talking about before the pod started, Quinn Sullivan scores a hat trick today. Jack DeVries is killing it still. We've had several players playing for the U.S. national team doing great. Like, not even just great against some of the top clubs across the globe. It's just like everyone talks and gushes about the FC Dallas camp, and it is as exquisite as everything. If you look at the national team right now, I think 5 of them are from FC Dallas alone. But I'm saying in the next 5-6 years, that's going to be Union players throughout. And it's so interesting to see this now be a well-oiled machine top to bottom. It's to see the academy coming through and producing not just top talent, but like being one of the top academies probably on this continent at this point.
I think one of the things to add to that as well is that the likes of the Aronsons, and obviously Mackenzie, who was here before, the Sullivans, the McGlynn's, the list goes on. The likelihood is that they're going to do unbelievably well in the first team. They're going to attract the attention from European clubs. But what that does then, if you're a parent of a kid who's got a really good reputation and your kid's 11, 12 years of age, where you want him to be? Exactly. So it creates that supply line. So all of a sudden it's like, okay, these young players are coming through, they're playing the first team, then they're moving on. Look at the reputation that we've got now. So various clubs may have to go out to young players and say, listen, you may speak to the parents and say, we want your son at our club.
Yeah.
It's going to be the other way around now. And that's the big thing. So it has its, I'm not saying it's bad that, you're producing these players and then going on, but the reputation that you're gaining is that you're going to get the best young players in the area.
Tommy Wilson told us after the Aronson deal, he had to take the phone off the hook.
Yeah.
Because they were getting so many calls from different
Yeah.
players, different parents.
Yeah.
Hey, my kid's playing for Orlando. Can we transfer? It was
I like it
insane.
into college sports. You look at Alabama.
Yeah.
Alabama is going to have a plethora of college football players come in because Nick Saban is like, I will get you to the NFL.
Yeah.
And as long as he's like, I will get you to the NFL, Alabama will always have 50 or 60 recruits who are the best players in all of their respective states go to that university because they know this is how I get to the next level. Same thing in college basketball. Reason why these tiny schools like Duke and Notre Dame and all these schools have like 8,000 kids are like, we are going to get you to your professional destiny. Just come with us. The same thing's happening here.
Now, speaking of professional destinies, we got to transition to someone that's barely professional, Charlotte FC.
Damn, they won 2 matches. Leave them
Oh,
alone.
I know.
Barely professional.
And they had 70,000 people their first game.
74.
And you know what? That ain't going to last.
No, it's not.
The reality's
But
gonna
that
hit.
was cute. I was here for it.
That was awesome.
I
It was an
respect
awesome-
them for getting that many people. But yeah, hey.
Somebody asked me, like, you think that's going to last? No, it's not going to last.
Look, but here's the thing.
But-
I also didn't think Atlanta was going to last. Somehow they've cultivated that thing into something nice.
True. So we've got Charlotte coming into town. So after Devin's tailgate, we have to get into the stadium. And that's why we don't drink Fireball and Captain Morgan and everything.
Not
Adam.
anymore.
Yeah,
Not
exactly.
anymore.
That's why we don't do that. But yeah, we've got Charlotte, who's currently sitting 8th, which I'm shocked. If you asked me beginning of the year, a new franchise, and even after the comments of their manager,
They played Cincinnati.
that's Union 3 to you.
Thank you. I mean, like, okay, cool. You won some matches, and like an expansion side, I get it, but you beat Cincinnati.
They beat New England.
Which right, if you want to talk about the Champions League
Right,
thing,
we know.
you want to talk about,
But hey, a win's a win. You play who you play on the schedule.
I'm not sure New England's good.
I don't know either.
I don't know they're good.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they're good
Especially
this
after
year.
they lose Matt Turner, I'm not sure how.
Yeah.
Like, they lost Buchanan, right? They lost Turner. Like, you added Altidore, which, I mean, come on. I mean, like, I love Josie. Thank you for your service. That's not a huge upgrade.
They still got
Team
Carlos
upgrade.
Hill.
What's that? Oh yeah.
Carlos Hill, what a player.
Carl and he.
Oh,
Carlos is him alone
He's
is enough to
incredible.
make me fear. But I'm like, did you get better from last year, New England? I don't know. And if that's the case, I'm not sure if I fear you as much as I did last year. I don't really. Here's the thing. They won a lot of games. I'm not sure if they were ever like a team that I truly feared, but they won a lot of
and
games.
it's still early. It's
Yeah.
still early, so I can't judge. But I do want to, because I'm guilty. I haven't really taken Charlotte too seriously. I haven't looked. I haven't decided to
tend
watch
not
any
with the
videos.
expansion teams,
Yeah,
right?
you really do. But
tend
then,
to,
but
like,
then the
assume.
Nashvilles of the world and the Atlantas, we even were pretty good our first 2 years coming in.
The
So-
greatest irony because
Yeah.
we went from like mediocre to boo boo.
Yeah. So, I mean, thoughts on Charlotte? Because I'm sitting there going, it's going to be 58 degrees. Can't wait to see some soccer. It's going to be great. We're back after our international break, and the last game was so bitterly cold. I probably cried and my tears froze on
it
me.
was cold.
I was so happy.
you're
I was
indoors.
in Texas.
Well, not really. There was a window that was open, but yeah,
didn't
I didn't get that wind chill. But then when I walked outside, I was like, wow, yeah, this is
Oh, that
cold.
was bad.
I was so happy I was in Austin.
Yeah.
Look, I think
He was playing video games in Austin.
Hey man, I was doing it for the club.
That's
I was
right.
Like that's the thing. We'll talk about the EMLS department eventually and how much we're expanding in that. But no, legitimately, I think you should take Charlotte very seriously, and then I think you should also beat them. Like I think both of these things are true. I think that I think Jim will get them ready for Charlotte. I don't think this team hasn't done enough to be quite arrogant yet. But at the same time, it's just like you have them at home. Home has been a bit of a fortress for you recently. You should expect results against most teams in Super Group.
In the best years, we had the best record at home. Like, we need to be good at home.
I think the biggest thing is, so you look at, obviously played 2 games at home during the first one against Minnesota and then beat San Jose.
Yeah.
You're not going to play against the San Jose ever again this season, as in terms of the way that they play. Wherever they go, they want to dominate possession. They'll go man for man all over the pitch. So that in its own way, sometimes can work to the Union's side of things because they can play on the counter-attack. The problem that you're going to find here, and it's a backhanded compliment, is that teams are going to come here and they're going to say, right, we're going to shut up shop. Because I would say so many MLS teams, they'll be like, if we can get a point at Union, we'll take that.
Yeah.
We'll take that. So,
what a sentence.
but I think,
Did you ever think you'd hear that?
but if you look like last season, the home form was incredible, and I think the problem that it causes is that all of a sudden you need to start really fast. No question about it. The fans become even more important if that's possible.
He's staring at you, Adam.
Because if you get that first goal and you get it early, then the opposition have to come out.
Yeah.
But teams will come here, and this isn't being disrespectful to any MLS team whatsoever. The majority of teams, in my opinion, will come here and say, if we can get a point, it's a really good point.
Yeah.
And any point on the road is good, especially when you're coming to a team that are going to be considered one of the favourites for MLS Cup.
Yeah.
So therefore, all games are going to be difficult because defending is a lot easier than attacking. So if you've got teams that are going to come here and set up strong defensively, prepared to be on the counter, then it could be a case of if you don't get that early goal, that you've got to be patient.
Yeah. And that's where you look at our new signings and you go, Carranza, Mikal, like
That, I mean,
if
that's fast. That's fast
like,
love.
Yeah.
Yeah. And with Gazdag putting in together an early MVP candidate,
I'm
season.
delighted for him.
Yeah, like
delighted
he
for him.
like that alone, because that was another thing where you're just like, all right, we're about to give up our number 10, we're about to give up Montero for this, but you're like, Gazdag's like, chill.
Yeah.
I'm good. I got this. It's cool. Like the Penteca alone, that alone made me say, "Oh, he's got his swag back.
Yeah.
Like he's ready. He's here for this."
He got acclimated and he goes, "Oh, I got this now. I understand."
The biggest moment for me with Daniel Gazdag was the goal against Montreal.
Yeah.
You saw him physically grow.
Yeah.
Because all forward players, they are all confidence players.
Yeah.
And when he got that goal, it was as though, oh yeah, I am the player that people think that I am. And he's not looked back since. He's been unbelievable. I think last season there was acclimatizing to the league, acclimatizing to the way that Union play off the ball, as in terms of the pressing side of things. And I think at times what helped him late on last season was Union played with two number 10s. They only had one fit centre forward. This season it's been, right, you've got the keys to the tip of the diamond now.
It's all you, baby boy.
Are you going to take it?
Yeah.
And you can't complain.
No.
He's been magnificent. And what you're going to find now is that obviously with Carranza, we know he's an intelligent player. Ua, intelligent player. That's only going to open up more space for Daniel Gazdag to then have extra time and space on the ball and have more options when he gets the ball as well.
Yeah.
The Union had a small list, but a list of great 10s in our era. I remember the Doshkals of yore, the Tranquilo Barnettas, even the Maidanas of way back. We've had a couple of 10s where you're just like, this, like if these 10s had the proper service up top, they would be so great.
Yeah.
And I think now we have the hybrid of both of these things where because remember, Doshkal led the league in assists. His two seasons here in Philadelphia. So it's like, if he just had really, truly proper forwards up top, the sky would be the limit.
I think one of the things you have to look at as well is that most MLS teams that are successful, they have a number 10.
Yeah,
and they have a top-class number 10.
Have
and, some of the ones, obviously, we've mentioned them previously, there's some great number 10s in MLS.
Yes.
Yeah, and we said about Daniel the whole time, we're like, people forget that you come over. This is a physical league.
Yeah.
It's not like many other leagues.
Travel.
And the travel. When you're in Europe, even in England, your travel, you're 2 hours,
Nothing
3 hours by
nowadays.
point.
What's
You're not
Newcastle to
going.
Brighton is basically
Yeah,
like,
but you would fly. You would fly, and it's a 45-minute, 50-minute flight.
That's what I'm saying.
You're not
Time
going
zones.
time zones.
Time zones.
Yeah.
Weather.
Right?
Yeah.
Like a local derby by U.S. standards, like the Cali Classico was 8 hours by car.
Yeah.
Like that
Yeah,
was...
you in MLS you can be in Miami 1 week and then in Vancouver, or the Pacific Northwest where it's rainy and cold. You could be in Dallas, it's 101 degrees, and then you play Boston.
Yeah.
Play Montreal.
Or Montreal, yeah.
Play Minnesota.
We play. So
it takes some adjusting. Similar, and that's where I think like a lot of the time there's this expectation that a player will come in and all of a sudden, because he has this reputation, he's going to hit the ground running. It doesn't always work like that, because like you say, the things that you've got to get used to are something that they've never had to deal with before in their footballing career. And that can take a little bit of time. And that's why a lot of the time I think what you'll see, Sometimes you'll see players hit the ground running, and this is all around the world. Sometimes it's that second season where they've had time to bed in, they know the area, the family is settled, and then you can take that next step.
And you can speak to this. You moved your family across
Yeah.
the ocean.
Yeah.
It takes a while.
Of course it does.
You know, and you have a family. You're like, my son's in school. And what is this cheesesteak thing? Wait, I turn right at the Wawa? What the hell is that?
What is a Wawa?
Yeah, what is a Wawa?
I can turn right on a red light as well.
Yeah.
That'll never last.
Yeah. So it's an
Right side
adjustment.
drive, right side drive, right side drive.
Now Devin's giving us the old you got to.
So it's time to talk about EMLS.
No, relax. We're just gonna
Right.
just shout out to. We did talk about it, but the Fab Four from the Academy that were on the under-20s.
Yes.
6 out of the 7 goals that they scored. 6 out of the 7.
What is in the water of Wayne, Pennsylvania?
It's that's 2 drinks for everybody today. Adam has just been popping his hometown. Unbelievable. And then the U.S. men's team.
Just for the people that don't know what that was, what are the 6 out of 7 goals? Because you didn't.
In the U.S. So when the United States.
The United States men under
Got
20. 6 of the 7 goals were scored by Union Academy players.
You missed that part.
They went down to play a couple of international
If you listen to the pod, you knew what I was talking about.
If you listen to the pod 14 to 15 minutes ago,
Yeah.
then no. It's okay. I love you.
But no, and U.S. men's team, I might have to tell Greg, I'm sorry. You were right, I was wrong. But we still have one more game to go, so we'll see.
Oh, come on.
Look,
You can't. Are you, what, are they going to lose by 6, is it?
As the
That would be-
the biggest U.S. national team hater probably of the group, I'm eating all of the crow. I'm swallowing everything.
Yeah.
This team did first they did exactly what they needed to do, which is tie it as Azteca. When they
Right.
tied it as Azteca, you're just like, okay, you're playing Panama and Orlando. Do your job. You know, do
Exactly.
what you're supposed to do and win that game. And once that was the case, I'm just like, and especially the help you got, I'm just like, just don't completely catastrophize yourself in Central America and we're going to the World Cup. And I need this because Italy didn't make the World Cup and I need that house to have at least
4
one
years
team.
of bragging rights, huh?
I need that in my life. Like, she's like, I might have to root for the United States this year. And I'm just like, I'm about to buy you a jersey.
Oh,
I'm about to get you a headband.
Now, whose jersey? We getting our Aronson's jersey, Mackenzie's
Well, you know,
jersey? We know people. We can
I
get.
feel
you know.
obligated to get her a true winner, so I'm gonna give her a women's jersey.
Oh.
You know, I'm gonna get her something with some stars on it. You know,
Okay.
something
All
nice
right.
and classy. We'll figure it out. I'm personally a Kristen Press fan, but I think she knows that, so she might not get that one.
Should we get her like a old school Carly Lloyd
No,
throwback?
I
We
need
can
a
talk to
I need
Carly.
an Abby Wambach. That's what I need. I need a throwback number 20 is what I need.
Now the last thing before Devin kills us for going overtime and everything.
I mean, this is a beautiful pod.
Don't we've got Premier League coming up again? Aren't they coming back soon? And
Are we
and-
sanctioned still?
And I just want to know, did we get a new owner yet? Can Chelsea get on a bus?
Is Kai Havertz paying for the airfare?
Do they have to take public transport? Do they have to take the tube?
I would hope
now,
so. I actually kind of
like-
want to see that. I want to see the image of all of them on the tube
It's
going
a
to like
sad
Arsenal.
day how the mighty Chelsea has fallen.
Look,
It is just.
And you know who's going to be there this Saturday to capitalize on that fall?
I wish you would.
Brentford FC.
I wish you would. I wish you would.
Are you allowed to bring fans? Because we can't. We can't sell the
Honestly, put
tickets.
in Loftus Cheek. I don't care about that one.
Yeah.
I don't need to waste our talent in that one. We'll put in Loftus Cheek. Who's Harvey, Vale, the whole nine. We'll have a good time.
Yeah, it's going to be great. And then we get to hear Danny brag about Manchester United now. They're on their upswing, you know? He's like, no,
What?
they're not.
Yeah, upswing. He's like, sir, don't. I
I
came
don't
on
know.
here to have a good time.
I don't know about that. It's going to be an interesting summer at that club. Who's going to be the manager? What's going to go on with the players? It's just they're so far behind.
That's some of the
Top
best
few
drama, though, is the Premier League with the off seasons for these teams. It rivals nothing, including the NFL off season, where you're watching. You're like, what's going to go on with this team? How are they going to rebuild? How are they going to reshape their team? And then you look at some of the owners, and you're like, God, I don't trust the Glazers worth anything. That's why I don't want Harris Blitzer buying Chelsea, because I don't trust them.
But the thing is as well is you've got this season. It's going to go all the way down to the wire, the top and the bottom.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to be an unbelievable finish, and you're probably going to go into the last 4 or 5 weeks with only maybe 5 teams with nothing to play for.
In the beginning of the season, you thought Man City was going to run away with it.
I thought Manchester United would challenge with the players
Yeah.
that they signed.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Liverpool for me, they're the team I think will win it. It's it's a difficult one to say as a Manchester United fan, but I think Liverpool.
Yeah, you're rooting against like two of your devils there between Liverpool and Man City.
See,
That's-
the strange thing is if you look at like the history of Manchester United, Manchester City, yes, are a rival. First of all, it's Liverpool.
Yeah.
right.
Then it's Leeds.
Leeds.
Then I'd argue that it's potentially Arsenal.
Yeah.
Then Manchester City.
Yeah.
Because the Manchester City rivalry, it's new.
Yeah.
And
Because
don't
they
get-
were not.
They were not. No,
They
no,
were
no.
good.
Whereas like
Yeah.
now you have to hold your hands up as a Manchester United fan and go, they're incredible.
They're
They're
extraordinary.
levels ahead.
That's basically Red Bull's entire backstory. Where now NYCFC is the rival, but they were just like, no, we were playing DC United and we were playing Revolution. Those were our dudes that we hated once upon a time, and now we added.
Yeah.
Like that's just the reason why they were just like the Union. I mean, that makes sense geographically, but we already got our rivals.
Yeah.
So you play over there with yourselves. Like, we don't care.
All right, before we wrap this up, Adam,
You wanna do a fusion
you've
minute?
got 30 seconds. Or Devin's got the taser on you and everything.
Devin.
Well,
And-
first,
and-
no,
and-
okay,
and
hold on.
should-
First, you have 30 seconds to talk about our Warzone tournament that we played
Oh,
this weekend.
shit.
Oh,
No,
God.
I'm kidding.
No. So me and Devin played in the Warzone tournament this weekend. It was basically Call of Duty. We played. It was 22 other teams. It was the EGL, the Electronic Gaming League. The Union have their own division. I played Surge, our EMLS pro. He played. We all did terribly. I think we finished next to last. Devin didn't get into like the third game. It was a disaster across the board.
Danny and I
But-
are looking at each other like, what's he talking about?
but
I
here's
don't
the
know.
thing. I will let you know this. Devin, very good at Call of Duty. Like, very good at Call. If you need a partner in your life, look up Cloud with 2 eyes at the end. Cloudy. The man scraps. The man scraps.
We got to ask about that cloudy name, but anyhow, that's another pod.
There's another pod. Furthermore, your Philadelphia Fusion, everyone's favorite Overwatch team, finalized their roster right now. They're only going with 7 players this year, which seems a little bit low. As you usually carry 12. We have 1 tank, 3 DPS, and 1 support going on so far, but we're going to add another one, and they have a couple people in the Fusion University, or FU for short. And when they come through, they will be ready for Korea. And that season will start in, I think, about 3 weeks. Okay, see, I actually literally made it a minute this time.
Danny came all the way over from England to not hear English. It's been great.
So you mean
It's-
that? Well, he would remember that the first team that ever won the Overwatch League was the London Spitfires.
It's
go.
so funny because like if you're in England, everyone in America is from New York. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Now coming over to America, everyone's from London. So
Everything's from London.
so
Yeah.
people come
Here's
up
the
to me.
thing, though. That would I would feel like if there's only one team in the entire country. Like, even if it's named the one, like, I feel like it's like, if we could call them the England Spitfire, I think it would have been the same kind of effect. It's like, they never played one game in London. Like, they all played all in Los Angeles. but
So
still.
so when I first moved over, like the amount of people come up to me and go, "Oh, whereabouts in London you from?" I'm like, what makes you come from London? Oh, well, you're from England. I was like, there is other parts of England.
Look, once you start talking beyond Newcastle, you're going to lose.
Yeah, well, that's Scotland. Come on. We're making friends all over the place, but
Don't make fun of my Scottish ancestry.
no,
Please
ladies and gentlemen, and Danny, thank you for coming
My
on.
pleasure.
Josh, thanks for coming, man. Appreciate it. And this was episode Jakob Voracek, number 93. Everybody, thanks a lot, and remember, aloha Felicia and Adam.
don't. Wash your hands.